Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and this is another Dreams tutorial. I'm doing something a little complicated today. I've had quite a few tutorial requests, and one of them was for a push block. This is a push block only. This method won't work with pull, it only pushes. So if you want a game where the player can walk around the cube and push it from different angles, then this is probably what you need. Now, there probably are multiple methods for doing this, and I am not saying that this is the best one or the only one or anything like that. This is a method. So if you've got another method for doing this and it works better, then I'd love to hear from you. Make a tutorial, pop it on YouTube, and I will add it to my website. This is my method. I discovered that lots of people are having difficulty with this particular game mechanic, and I can see why. It has taken me most of the day. So right, let's go. I've got a player here, and I can walk up to this block, and immediately his hands go out to indicate that he can push it. If I press my triangle, he will move the block like so. Now I haven't done the movement on the other side, so we can do that as part of this tutorial. So there we go. There's push block. It's just moving back over to the beginning. So let's see how this is done. Okay, I have my player here, and as you can see, I've added a laser scope to his chest. I've just attached that. I've just popped it onto his chest and snapped it on. And if you look at the laser scope, you can see it has this gizmo is straight out in front of him like so. Try and get that nice and straight. This is sort of the length that we want. You would have a look at how the distance that you want the player's arms to go up. Now, I had a lot of difficulty because I originally had him so he had his arms straight out in front of him to push, and unfortunately that wasn't really working because you could walk into the block. So what I've done is I've worked out where his arms would be at the point where he walks into the block, move his arms right up so that he can then push from that position. So laser scope, what I've got is this is the range that is part of this gizmo. So you can change it here or you can change it here. Either way, you want it so that he's going to detect this block, and what he's looking for is an object. So all your blocks, you would label them as objects. Do not use object for anything else. Okay, so this is a detect label on objects, so you can't use that for anything else in your scene. You could try detecting a tag instead. I like labels because they're nice and easy to use. Anyway, there we go. So it's going to detect all our objects, which are going to be our blocks, with this laser scope. Right, let's have a look at the cube. Now I realised after I finished this that I didn't mention the settings for the block. The block needs to be movable, so go to the physical properties and ensure that the top item that looks a bit like a seesaw is white and on. Otherwise you're going to have difficulty trying to move this block. It's got a microchip attached to it. Here it is here. And what I've got is I've got a couple of nodes that I've not labelled up, and I've changed the colour and the symbol from so I can see what they are, and a trigger zone. So let's start off at the top and work our way down. So we've got our trigger zone. This has got moved a bit. There we go. Trigger zone is on this face. So when the player walks into the trigger zone, then this is when it's going to be active, like so. And here is the laser. So I have wired up the laser scope, hit something to this node here. So that's just the laser. So it's a bit like the trigger zones. We've got a trigger zone if he's standing there, and we've got the laser to say that you can also detect it with his chest. Now the reason we have a trigger zone and a laser, it is much easier to detect each of these sides. If I just detect the block, then we need to know which side, so we need a trigger zone as well, and it makes it nice and easy to do everything if I have both. So if a laser and a trigger zone, it makes it nice and easy to know which side I am on. So I've got a trigger zone, and that's linked to a NOT gate, and an AND gate, and another AND gate. So we'll go for the top one. So when the trigger zone is detected, so when your player is detected, and also the laser is detecting the block. So you're in the trigger zone and you're facing the block. That's important. That's what the laser scope is for, because it'll only detect if you are actually facing the block. So if you're facing the block and you're in the trigger zone, that means that you're ready to push. So that's going to change this counter to on. So the counter will be full, and we've just got a 1 count on this counter. If you walk out of the trigger zone, then we're going to set that counter back. And if you are no longer facing the cube, we're going to set that back to 0. So that's what that does. This is a keyframe. If I just select that, that's it. I've moved my hands into this position. This is the brace position, ready to push. And you'll want to get that, so get your player standing where he stops, because he's standing next to the cube, and then work out where his hands are going to be. So that sort of position is what I've gone with. Okay, that's the brace position. So it will do the great brace position, and then it will also go to this AND gate. This AND gate is looking to see, are we in the brace position? Are we still in the detect zone? And have we pressed the triangle button? Now we could put something else in here, like a text display. So let's do that. We'll add a text display. So we'll put a text displayer in. I hate the fact that these are enormous. I absolutely cannot stand it. It makes. I'm gonna push it over here. I really, really wish these were smaller. Right, okay. So you have a text displayer. So we want to know if you're facing the right way and you're in a brace position. That's when we're going to turn on this text displayer. And what we're going to do is triangle, and we're going to display that above the cube, like that. Like so. That'll do. Okay, so that now when we go up to the cube, I've got a nice triangle prompt telling me I need to press triangle. Okay, right, so that's that done. Right, okay, so we've got the brace. This is now adding to this counter. This counter is now looking to see if you've pressed that triangle, and we've got an action recorder. This is moving our block. We've got a push animation, and we've got a sound. So the action recorder, what I did, is I put the grid snap on, 2, and I put the action recorder down, I grabbed my block and moved it like that, and then press record to finish. So that's moved it 1 square. So that's how far the block will move. If you want it to move further than that, then obviously you would push it further. But I think one square is probably about right. I'll just rewind that. And that creates your block move. This is our push animation. This is the brace position, so you just copy that in. And then the second one is the push, the full arms out. And I've got a linear blend type between those two. So you should get a nice smooth animation of him pushing that block away from himself. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Right, one thing that though you must have travel, keep changes, and once on your action recorder. Otherwise you'll get some weird effects. The brace, everything's just normal. You don't have to do any changes to that at all. Okay, so there we go. So that's that. Now then, let's do the other side. So we take my microchip and we're going to stamp it onto this side. Let's turn that grid off. I am always opening up my microchips the wrong way. Right, okay. So you'll notice now we've copied it, but a few of the wires are missing. So our wires for the laser and the triangle press are missing. So let's just wire them back up. So that's the laser. And then we go into our puppet logic. And there's our triangle button. Let's see. Is that all wired up now? It should be. Should be all wired up and fine. Right, now we need to change our block move. So we'll delete that one. And we'll go to animate. Let's turn the grid back on. I've got it on 2, that's fine. Action recorder, stamp that down. And we'll just, so that I did L1 and circle. Then I'm going to grab it and push. I think I might have done that a bit slow, but we'll see. Okay, so that's our new animation. So now if we go this side. Yep, I didn't change the animation. Right, okay. So that's what happens when you don't change the action recorder. So we want it to play once. And we want it to travel. There we go. Now we should be good. I think it's this one, isn't it? This one. There we go. And there we go. And it moved. Perfect. And we can move it this way. So you can put it on all sides of the block or just 1 or 2 depending on what is needed for your game. And there you go. We have a moving block. Now pulling is a different kettle of fish and I have not worked that one out yet because it's easy to push something away from you. It's another matter whatsoever to get this oh hello to get this puppet to actually walk backwards. So I may or may not be able to work that one out. I'm sure I'll give it a go, but at the moment we've just got to push block. But I think that's a good game mechanic, and there are plenty of games that don't have pull; they just have push. Let's push it off. Yes, it's gone. There we go. Hope that was useful. Like I say, there are other ways of doing it than the way I've chosen here, but I think this is the simplest. So I hope that was useful, and I'll catch you in your dreams.